Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Lead customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You're listening to us live on Building Fortunes Radio. That's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. And for all those people who are familiar with my voice, my name is Peter Mingils. I started this radio show several years ago, and we've done lots and lots of hundreds, actually thousands of separate radio shows that we've done all across the Building Fortunes radio spectrum. One of the reasons why I was so excited about doing something is I wanted to be able to shine a spotlight and provide a platform for people that were exceptional people doing the right things in home-based businesses as well as with health and nutrition and whatever other topics that they were an entrepreneur in. And I get the distinct privilege and pleasure to rekindle a relationship on the air with a gentleman that I've never lost touch with when I first met him. I think it was way back in 2002. And his name is Michael Rothberg. Michael and I have been sitting at conferences together with an organization called the Distributor Rights Association, on the phone constantly when we're doing conference calls and education, on the phone personally as well as we talk about health and nutrition. Michael became blind somewhere, I think it was in his 20s, but he's a very dynamic individual, very charismatic, and always worked together with a wonderful woman. Her name is Teresa. And Teresa got ill during that relationship that we had, and she has since passed away. And I will share with you, I am so saddened that that had happened. It really left a mark on me. And I've had bazillions of conversations with Michael Rothberg about health and nutrition, and this left such a deep mark about how we can possibly help people in home-based businesses achieve the results that they're looking for in their health, to help them with whatever health journey they're trying to figure out what's going on, that I said, Michael, we got to do a radio show, especially now, and he'll tell you why as we get started. But I said, Michael, we have to do a radio show, and I don't care how many of these radio shows we have to do. If you're listening to Michael Rothberg talk about health and nutrition or about building home-based businesses, you will get an education. So we can continue these for a really, really, really long time. So for me, as an owner of Building Fortunes Radio, I have an emotional attachment to this opportunity as well as this individual, Michael Rothberg, and a real passion for doing everything we possibly can to help as many people as we possibly can. Spread this message about home-based businesses, about being an entrepreneur, about living your life, about health and nutrition, and about just stuff in general. So Michael Rothberg, thanks very much for being here on your own Building Fortunes radio show.
Well, I'm really grateful, and I couldn't think of anyone better that I would like to launch this new business, Epigenomex Global, incorporated with than you. You are the very first conversation, and I've told you many times, even back when I was looking to start Vitagen-X, and that was back in '06. Then Teresa was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then my father with dementia. And so I put the product way ahead of the horse, and so I gave out a lot of product that now everybody is into. I created something called Fruit and Veggie Vitality in '06, and now there's Texas Superfoods and Super Greens and an endless array of those things. And I also had a tea vitality that was a white tea, a green tea, and a black tea for energy and lift. But I didn't get to the core of health. And when Teresa, who really battled cancer since she was a teenager with human papillomavirus, when she, and I have no reason to disbelieve her, said she had not even had a sexual experience and had HPV. So I really think that we have to look back at all the vaccines and the chickenpox virus, and you squeeze the chickenpox virus and not let it really cultivate itself in a human being, and then you don't develop the immunity later for an HPV or herpes or later life shingles. And I think that we make a lot of mistakes. But we're again talking about the core of health. I started, wasn't me, it was our daughter who was 16. But she had always been in business with us. And we wanted to teach her a profession where she could homeschool and have a family income, but really raise her in network marketing. And we started with a Chinese herb company. And I remember when I finally figured out the comp plan. I loved the products. I mean, I was bonkers about them. I had a loyalty. So he got me in on product. But then I looked deeply at my wallet and realized that, I was leaving a lot on the table. Breakaway, 20%, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but you didn't get to 7 until you were really a superstar. And if you look at those numbers, 6 and 5 is 11, and 4 is 15, and 3 is 18, and 2 is 20, 21, plus 20 is 41, and in theory, if you really hit superstar status, you get a potential 48%, but they weren't paying 50% from get-go. So there was so much money left on the table, and that's why the owner was able to turn to some of the close friends and said, "Do you like the kitchen out at the swimming pool?" Yeah, I love it. Fabulous. Well, he doesn't like it, so this $100,000 going in the trash, and we're starting over. And I remember hearing those stories, and I said to him on a cruise, Dr. So-and-so, I see 11 Louis Vuitton trunks and suitcases out front of your stateroom. I was raised that way. And I'm really worried that I will never achieve the kind of financial success my father and grandparents had achieved through your company. And everybody was hushed in the room, and nobody would talk to me on the cruise. They avoided me. One guy came over and he said, I admire your courage. My wife and I once stood up that way, and we were shunned for years. And then as we were walking into the dining room, the owner of the company walked right over to us and said, "I'd like you to join me at your at the dining room table at the captain's seat with me." And he said, "I admire you." He said, "Nobody ever talks to me this way." And I said, "Well, I spoke my truth, that I love your products, but I just feel that there's way too much money being left on the table." And I left after that. And that was the journey. The journey was always not getting overly hypnotized on product until you understand the comp plan. And the question to me always was, why do I need a math degree? I was horrible in math, great in English and communication, but having an eye problem even as a young person, the humiliation of having to sit up at front at the board and have my face in the board while everybody would snicker, and so I never grasped math, and I always wondered if Don Sala has the napkin presentation, which was what the guy who introduced me to this company took me up to his office. Above the office was just this whole area of these incredible Date with Destiny and Tony Robbins Unleashed the Giant Within. So I started to understand that this business that I was getting into was a personal development business within a business opportunity. And so I had listened to everything from Brian Tracy to Jim Rohn, and then started reading Big Al Schreiter books and Tony Robbins, and went to Tony Robbins events and thought I had a piece of the puzzle there. But I just couldn't understand why, if the napkin presentation was 3 getting 3 getting 3, 3, 9, 27, 27 on your third level, 27 and 9 is 36 plus 3 is 39. Why in the world did the comp plans have to have you get paid on your weaker of the two legs, and then when you max a certain income, then you get to re-enter maybe below yourself, maybe above yourself, maybe you only get one re-entry, maybe you get three re-entries, maybe you get unlimited re-entries. But if I'm trying to bring in my golden Rolodex, which is what they say, make your list. Give me your top 200, and then the trainers will say, oh, no, I don't, 300, 200, I don't know. Go to your address book. Go to your class reunion lists, anything and everything. And I would join Chamber of Commerce, and I would go right after the heads of the chamber and the people who are on the board of Business and Professional Women, but I was always looking at a method of compensation that people would just scratch their head and say, really? I know how I get paid in business. I get 123 or 135 or 250,000 or whatever a year, and it comes every 2 weeks in a check. And now you want me to get into a company that you need a master's degree in compensation. And nobody could ever tell why. Well, because, we want to make a soft spot and we want to motivate and incentivize. No, what you want to do is screw, with all due respect. You want to leave money left on the table. So I always said one of the fastest builds, the fastest, my friend Kelly is joining us in this, and she has a company called Functional Fungi, and she's created this amazing truffle oil. And she said, Michael, do you remember when we were in that Epigenomex company and how fast we grew? Yeah, because there were no hitches. It was whether it was 3 getting 3 getting 3, or 5 getting 5 getting 5, or 10 getting 10. And I can remember Dr. Ivan, a wild, brilliant medical doctor who was not willing to go through medical school again in the United States. He was from Czech Republic, and here he was working at Sloan Kettering, doing the maximum he could do without a license. So he got into network marketing, and I created these big cardboard press boards, and we would carry them around in an artist box. They were, I think, 2 feet by 3 feet, made at Kinko's back in those days. And I had 3 getting 3 and 5 getting 5, and we also had a dry erase board. And he would take the boards and toss them to the ground. He said, I came to America to get rich, and I want to show you 10 getting 10, getting 10, getting 10, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. You don't even need to worry about the 10 and the 100 and the 1,000 and the 10,000. Just focus on level 5. 100,000 people. If they buy $100 a month and you make $10, it's $1 million a month. Now, isn't that a number you could get excited about? Yes. And that took me all the way back to the Don Phelan napkin presentation, that I could explain 3 degrees of separation, 5 degrees of separation, 10 degrees to somebody, just leveraging 10% 5 levels. But all of a sudden you get into these companies where, yeah, it's a unilevel, but we really have a binary within a unilevel or a binary in the back. Like, how do you talk to a PhD in physics or a doctor of psychotherapy or a top real estate producer and say, yeah, you got to understand the sweet spot of how you get paid? It never made sense to me. I had 27 businesses, 2 nightclubs, 3 restaurants, every kind of bar in the world, black sports bar, gay bar, and I knew how I was getting paid. You sell this, you get that. And all of a sudden you get into this industry and you needed a PhD. So I always kept that as a sweet spot. And every company I got involved with, it was convoluted with the latest comp plan. And then I learned that one of the companies, binary that I was in, was paying 78%. They were blowing so much red ink. So what was it really about? Was it about just getting people in the beginning and then grandfathering them and letting them the word, or was it that they were that stupid and didn't know that the plan was blowing them up? You never know till you know what's inside the owner's heart. Then came getting to the core of health. I've helped to launch some of the hottest products in all of network marketing nutritionally, and it was always the greatest idea, the idea of the day. But Teresa still died of cancer, and we didn't eat crap. I mean, from the time we got involved with that company out in Seattle, we were going to the Gravity Bar, eating the healthiest of organic food, but we were missing the mark. We were taking $1,000 a month if we took a penny in supplementation. When the breast cancer hit, we were doing vitamin C drip. I mean, there's very little out there that we didn't know of. DIM, indole 3-carbinol, poly-MVA, Halin 751. We were doing it. We didn't get the diet right, for sure. First we were macrobiotic, then we were raw food, then we were Weston A. Price, and then we learned that we were all in the family blood type A, and that everything we had been doing was pretty doggone destructive. Let alone a friend told us that she cured her cancer with 9 grams, 18 capsules of reishi mushroom. Well, let me tell you, Teresa developed cirrhosis of the liver, and that's when the cancer metastasized. Because for a blood type A, according to Dr. Peter J. D'Adamo, reishi is poison. We killed her. Somebody gave us a reference. We believed it. They told us, that reishi cured her cancer. Maybe it did. Maybe she was a blood type O. But it killed Teresa. And that's why I also wanted to make sure that we never tolerated in a company that we were involved with cures. If we can get to the core of health, then we don't have to chase cures for arthritis and cures for goiter and cures for diabetes with bitter melon extract and whatever. That comes later. You got to get to the core of health. So that was really important. And then when we got close to many of the companies, it was the ethics of the owners. So I had this whole checklist. And I started getting to a point where I was running through companies for a year. And then I just realized it's never going to happen until, again, I put up my hand and say, we're going to do it as a family together. And we're going to create a company that actually from day one pays 50%. Yeah, you say, oh, yeah, sure. Well, it can be done. You just tell the programmers, I don't want breakage to go to the company. If somebody's qualified for level 3, then I want the computer to search 10,000 levels till they fill levels 1, 2, and 3. If someone's qualified for levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, I want the computer to search as far as it needs to, as long as there are people down there, till that person qualifies for 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 as well. Generally, when there's that degree of roll-up, you have to be qualified at NATO's Star Commander at level 5, and then maybe extra volume on the first level, and maybe extra personal purchase, and maybe 1 leg or 2 legs out of 3 strong. But to us, if you can fog a mirror, then you will be qualified for roll-up based upon the level you're qualified for. It's unheard of. But it's because I want to pay 50% to the field. because I live in the field. I don't live in the office. I put the company together and I said, you know what? I don't know what the politics of the United States are going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, but it ain't looking pretty. And they're all trying to justify 75% inheritance tax. So I'd be a big moron if I created a billion-dollar company in the next 5 to 7 years with an amazing team, and something happens, I get in a Ferrari accident because blind guys shouldn't be driving in the desert out on the or in the Utah salt flats or something like that, and I wreck the car. So I want to make sure that there is not the privilege of having to sell the company in order to pay the inheritance tax. So I set the company up and I turned over 100% of the keys to an amazing woman, my daughter. She's in her early 40s. She's brilliant. She's beautiful. She runs high-end hotels. And she cut her teeth at, frankly, 16 with us in network marketing. So she's no stranger to it. So that's the business. Epigenomex Global is dedicated, Peter, to getting to the core of health. And initially, we were going to launch with a probiotic because, we have 70 trillion human cells and 100 to 110 trillion bacterial cells, spores and viruses. But as I said to you in the preliminary in the green room, that a caterpillar has something like 10 times, 8 times the genetic makeup that a human being has. We thought that the whole answer back in the early 2000s was when the human genome was cracked that we would be able to solve the puzzle. And what we did was we looked deeper and deeper into the cosmos to understand that so much of the human gene is interactive with the gut biome, what's now called the second brain, and that we are all at least 1%, one standard deviation, forgive me, away from normal. And how do we get to as close as possible to normal? We normalize the gut bacteria. So that was the first place I wanted to start. And we created a product, and it's very high-end, and it's very expensive. We're going to even have one that's probably 5 times more expensive. But the one thing I learned, and I had to make this rapid decision on the fly, I did it like being chased by the bad guys, and I had to pull an immediate J-stop and do a U-turn and come facing right at them because I started having what's called Hersheimer effect, and I eat a pretty clean diet and take a lot of supplementation, and I was having a few days, and I was piling it on. I mean, VSL-3 and Lactobacillus GG, the patented rhamnosus, and so forth. And for about 6 hours to 12 hours, a couple of days and over a 3-month period, I was laid out and said maybe the smarter thing would be to go to the enzymes first and maximize the nutrition first, then start loading in the probiotics. And it made most sense to me because back in the 2000s, we were traveling in the raw food world, and the gals would come and talk to us based on our nutrition background. I would say, look, my hair's falling out, she would say, or my belly's bloated. I hear I'm eating these sprouts and this raw food, and I can't handle it. And I thought long and hard, and the conclusion that I had was that in the raw food restaurants, they're doing the garde-manger, the prep. Well, you do the prep in the morning, and you better cook it off at night because of the bacteria. Well, they would do the prep in the morning, make it look like a raw food pizza, and then put it in the takeout box for 3 days, and then people would eat it. Well, I knew that was bacteria-laden food, so that was the only answer I could give. So I talked to the manufacturer, and they're the dominant enzyme company in the world, and they're U.S.-based, not China-based, and we'll never have China raw materials in our products. I said, this is the problem that I really want to target. I want somebody who is a woman, a man, especially the woman, who is truly concerned about diet, and she's sprouting her beans, and she's eating her lettuces and her grasses, and she's bloating. I said, let's micro-target. I don't want to create something the way some of the big companies with their extra ginger, they run too hot. I take 2 of those high-end enzyme products, and I burn up at night. Blood type A has a low fire, but can't handle all that digestive intensity. So I said, let's micro-target the vegetable-based diet so people can maximize. We're not cows. We don't have 3 stomachs. We're not working with ruminant. We need that ability, and few of us chew. My nickname, even as a kid, was my mother would call me choo-choo swallow, choo-choo swallow, choo-choo swallow. So it's no wonder how I wrecked my digestion. So we need something that can really help us digest. So that was the brainstorm, or the epiphany, so to speak, that let's start there first, and then within a few months, depending upon how rapidly we grow, and I'm in no hurry for rapid growth. I want to have quality growth. So the last piece of the puzzle is high end. Yeah, this is a very expensive company, and I don't apologize for price. That I will only apologize once for. If I didn't get the quality right, I'd spend as long as we had the product, all that time apologizing for quality. That we won't do. We plan to be a platinum collar nutrition company. And that's the same with meetings. I go to the conventions, and everybody hypes the convention. I can remember in a weight loss company, and my upline said, if I tell you, I mean, do you have to sell me? Aren't we Goomba? I mean, you want to sell the public. Michael, if I told you who the star performer was going to be, you'd pay for the ticket just that. My God. What was her name? Leaving on the midnight train to Georgia. Woo, woo. You know you will. Well, that was... Really? She couldn't barely sing, and her brother, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and her brother had to sit on stage. So from my point of view, we had people that we brought in, and they were so excited, and then they saw the condition of the health of the owner, and they said, do you think he's really going to last? Do you think he's going to be here? I don't want that. I want the convention to be people who earn level 5. I don't want the newbies at the convention. I want the conventions to be at Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton's, Bachelor Gulch. I want the regionals. Thank you. I want the regionals to be held at Canyon Ranches, Gurney's in Montauk. I want this to be a health company, and I'm not going to apologize for the cost of the regionals, and we're not going to underwrite it, because the company's paying a true 50%. There's no money left over. If we have to store away 3x, 3 times cost of goods, just to make sure that we have enough product in inventory for growth, then we're looking around at 2 times COGS, cost of growth, cost of goods, to pay all the bills. This is a company for the distributor. So the distributor is going to be responsible, and we call them the independent contractor. We don't mince words here. They're the IC, and it's the IC's responsibility to train, to teach, to build, to grow, and we're paying you for it. We're not going to have these high-priced trainers and all this nonsense. Join the right team. Be the leader you're looking for. Well, that's the story, Peter, and that seems
there we go.
that
that's part of the story. I love listening to you, Michael, because I learned so much, and I've heard you so many times for so many years. There's so much knowledge that's dug into some of the things that you just referenced. It's incredible. So one of the reasons why we did this is because you're launching your new company, and I wanted people to be able to hear from you, the company owner. You've had this under your, if you will, figuring out what you're going to do for years and years and years and years and years. And it wasn't until Teresa passed away that you just pulled off all the stops and said, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this done now. So I want to be part of all that whole entire thing that you're working on right now. So we're going to have you back, of course. But for those people listening in, if you want to work with a company owner who is going to be able to give you the fair share that you deserve, handhold you when you need it, give you the opportunity to be able to earn what you're worth, you want to work with Michael Rothberg. Michael is just an exceptional individual. He's just an amazing guy, super knowledgeable, as you heard about stuff relative to health and nutrition. Holy cow. Can you learn some stuff about health and nutrition and also blend it together with compensation plans and home-based businesses, as well as all the stuff that goes on that nobody ever wants to talk about. You can learn so much. You can learn the whole profession right here. So between health, nutrition, home-based businesses, compensation plans, building businesses, taking care of yourself for the future, you want to work with Michael Rothberg. So, Michael, if people wanted to get in touch...
yes, exactly. Do you mind if I give... The website is
absolutely
not fully launched, but it's there and you can see it, and it's a rush to finalize. But the company is called Epigenomex Global.com, and that is spelled E Echo P Pop I India Epi Genome Gen as in November OM as in Mike EX Epigenome X Global. So you get to see the company. You can't join there. And the facts are that I am the independent contractor 1, and my company is LibertyGenomex.com. So it's, if you were to go to LibertyGenomex.com right now, LibertyGenomex, our software engineers have not yet turned over the replicated site to us, so you won't be able to get there to me. My toll-free will reach me directly. It's a Grasshopper line, and that's 833-BIOME 00. BIOME 00. Toll-free 833-BIOME 00. It rings right to my cell phone, and the corporate number to my desk, because we certainly have one that has professional answers that take the call, but to get to my desk, that's 609-427-6305, and that's for Epigenomex Global. I appreciate the opportunity to meet your team out there, and I know it's vast. Thank
Excellent.
You,
and we're going to have you back, Michael. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. Make sure you check them out, and we're going to have a special page. If you want, you'll be able to find Michael Rothberg as a guest spot, as well as if you do a search on Building Fortunes Radio for Epigenomex Global, you'll be able to see it there, too. Okay, guys, everybody, thanks so much for being here. Michael, thanks as usual. Can't wait to have you back. We're going to catch you next time.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingils. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.